All right. It says that we're live, but you never know with the algorithm and the way things work. So thank you all for being here. Pilgrim first in the house, Teresa, Salty Dog, and Slow Jammin' James is really in the house. Let me scroll down to the bottom here real quick. Jareth Hogan, thank you for being here. Hazmat issue in Lehigh, Pennsylvania. Did I miss some people? Let me go back up and check real quick. Of course, this thing does not want to do what it wants to do. Well, we'll just stay here then, I guess. Let's see. I hate technology when it doesn't work the way it's supposed to work. Dome Seeker, there you are. Desert. Stop. I'm not trying to cancel people. I don't want to pin anything. I just want that to go away. There we go. All right, Desert Prepper's in the house. Slow Jim and James just got home. Jareth Hogan again. Oh, scroll back to the bottom. I don't think I missed anybody. I think I did. Teresa is in the house. Pilgrim, good evening. Joe Morgan, long time. How you been? You despise censorship. Most, yes. However, I am pro censorship when it comes to inappropriate things for children. All right. And if they want to see and find this stuff when they're older, that so be it. But yes, I believe in a minute amount of censorship. Okay. Postponement. Let's call it postponement. Let's let fifth graders and sixth graders learn about, those things in due course. Okay, well, maybe we can agree on that amount. Joe Morgan has been mostly intoxicated, but you're very frisky. Okay, good to know. Glad everybody could be here. Sherry Bogan, thank you for being here. That's right, Joe. Kiddos, you go, if involving the kiddos, you go in the wood chipper. Heads on pikes, as we like to say around here. So if you notice the thumbnail tonight, I picked that because, there's a saying, I'm sure many have heard it, maybe some of you haven't. There's nothing wrong with training your children to be dragon slayers in an age of dragons. Okay? So, and by dragons, we're speaking metaphorically, religiously, philosophically, whichever way you want to look at it. Dragons, demons, the beast that shall rise at the end of days, all those good, nasty things, and so forth. But we live in an age of monsters. And I teach my kids at a very young age, as I hope many of you have or will do. For those of you that are grandparents, take this upon yourself to teach your grandchildren. First, before I say anything else, Chris Silverback had a unfortunate, very sad loss in his family. You may see it on the Prepper Nation Facebook page. Little 1-year-old child, his grandchild, and so let's keep that family in our prayers. And help out if you're able. Okay. So there's that. But okay. I teach my children from a very young age, because all children at some point when they're little, they wonder if monsters are real. And I have taught all of my children that yes, monsters are in fact real. And when I say that to them, it's a very serious conversation I have with them. I say, monsters are real. 100%. Daddy has seen them. Daddy has fought some. And they're like, well, what do they look like, Dad? And I explain to them very seriously that most monsters, your typical average monster, the monster you're most likely to encounter, will look just like every other person on the street that you see. Every stranger. Sometimes family members. Monsters, the real scary monsters, most of them, 99.9% of them, look just like you or me. And you won't know that they're monsters until it's too late most of the time. There will be hints. There will be indicators. And teach your children to look for the indicators. Look for the hints. We've talked many times about behavioral patterns in people, life patterns, stereotypes. Monsters have stereotypes. The Dahmers of the world have stereotypes. There are indicators. The kitty touchers, the pedos, there are stereotypes. You ever look at them when they're at mug shots and you go, well, saw that coming. We tend to put our blinders on to where we can't see it until it's too late. But after the fact, we were like, well, yeah, look at all those indicators. All right. Monsters have indicators too. So teach them these things. Explain to them that, yes, monsters are real. And if you're religious, teach them about the other monsters too, that other 0.1% that do exist. Right? Teach them that there is good and evil in the world. If there is ultimate good, there must be ultimate evil, because everything has balance in the universe. Okay? So teach them, one, awareness. All right? Teach them not to go against their intuition. That's the first thing, because if you... One moment. Speaking of my little devils, I normally don't ever take a call during a live stream, but Bobby, you're being, look, Bobby, you want to say hi? Want to say hi? Say hi.
Hi.
It's my little dragon slayer, my little demon hunter, right?
Yeah.
That's right. That's what you're going to be. All right, guys, I will call you back in about a half an hour. Daddy's going to finish this live stream, okay?
Yeah.
Give me a hug. Give me a hug.
Yeah.
Give me Jupe. Jupe. Love you. Jupe. Jupe. Love you, boys. Tell your sister I said, Daddy said hi. I'll talk to you in about a half hour.
Okay.
Love you guys.
Love you.
Bye. Let me put this on Do Not Disturb. Sorry about that, but priorities. You're not late, Blackbird. You actually showed up right in time. So that was actually all three of my little dragon slayers that were right there. Salty Dog, thanks for being here. Pilgrim, no worries, family first. Yes, that's they are my reason for being. All right. If what is the meaning of life? I just showed you. But we have to train them. And people will say, oh, you're brainwashing children. Yes, somebody has to install the software. Somebody. And if it's not you, it's going to be somebody else. All right. They can, let them know there is a good and evil in the world. Make sure they are aware. Teach them to trust their instincts. This is the foundation for training them for the harder things that will come later on in life. All right. Then you're going to teach them, the basics. All right. Before we get into the basics, teach them that there is a distinct difference between killing and murder. There is. Some people won't like that, and I don't care. It's true. Water is wet, grass is green, sky is blue, and there is a difference between killing and murder. Okay? If you don't like those facts, then you are on the wrong channel, my friend. Teach them that. And the way I teach my children at a young age is simply because we've all seen children do it. I don't care who you are. If you spend enough time around young children and they're playing outside in the summertime, you've seen children squish ants. Each one of my children has intentionally squished ants. One time. Because I pull them to the side when I first see them do it. And I explain to them that we do not kill something simply because we can do it. Now that might seem a little bit, whoa, Rob's way out there with, but you got small. You start small, start them when they're young. We don't kill something simply because we can. I teach them, is that a problem for you. Is that insect, even if it's just an insect, because if they can get away with small shit, they'll get away with bigger shit. All people will. Is that little insect bothering you? Is it hurting you? Is it disrupting your life in any way? They're like, no. Like, then why are you ending it? It may seem trivial to people. Yeah, we step on ants all the time on accident, but accidentally walking down the sidewalk, stepping on ants isn't looking at something and making it dead because that's your intention on making it dead. Okay, and I think that plays a big role in their psychology, how they start to view the world. You may think I'm crazy. I very well may be, but I start small. Joe Morgan says, Dad's not here anymore, but I am to say shit, so I will. Yes, and this doesn't have to just apply to your biological kids. You can teach other kids. And in fact, I encourage that. I will teach strangers' kids these things if I have the opportunity. All right. Ran to my friend from Gun Ridge today. We actually had lunch together, and I'll get back to the topic here in a moment. And he was talking about his new job that he started a few months ago, and he ran into somebody who knows me at his new job. And he was like, so what do you think of him? And he said, Rob is my kid's safe space. And he's like, are you serious? He's like, he's been out there. He said, I know for a fact that Rob will do two things that I don't know anybody else will. And when the guy asked him what those two things were, he says, one, he will die for my kids if necessary. Two, he will kill for my kids if necessary. And I was like, well, I appreciate. I took that as a very good compliment. So, yes, let's get back to the conversation. Teach them the fundamentals early, and then get them into the basics of survival. All right. Basics being fire, shelter, wood, or water and food. I'm still getting used to these bifocals. So when I glance at my little notebook here, it just threw me off on the wood because I saw water and food. Stuck together. Water and food. The same things that we prepare for. All right. Most of you, I'd say all of you, know how to create a fire, know how to purify water, know how to find food, and know how to build shelter. I don't believe I'm incorrect in that. But what happens if your 7-year-old, your 8-year-old, your 10-year-old, your 6-year-old, SHTF goes down, something happens to you, God forbid, and they're all alone? What happens if you're it's not SHTF, and you're hiking through a national forest and somehow they become separated? It happens. We don't intend it to happen, but it happens. Can your 6-year-old, your 7-year-old survive 24 hours in the elements without you? If the answer is no, you're doing it wrong. You're behind the curve, and you need to fix that. All right. Teach a 6-year-old can easily learn. They are very easy to teach. I mean, we teach them a vast number of things, but we've gotten out of the mindset that 6-year-olds can learn anything. Think about your parents or your grandparents. Think about when you were 6 years old. There was shit that you do at 6 now that you just don't hear of kids doing anymore. But they can use, a 6-year-old can use a ferrocerium rod, can learn to take grass, dry grass, bundle it up, take smaller twigs, put them on top, put bigger twigs on, and start a fire. Teach them. I've showed all my boys. The next one I got to show is the littlest one. He's going to need to work on it this summer, and we're going to work on that. We're going to focus on that and make sure that they all got it. All right. Can they make fire? Can they operate a lighter? Do they know how? I mean, a lot of people, child safety. Well, you can't be safe if you don't know how something functions. We're quick to smack a child's hand if it touches a lighter, but the child doesn't learn anything other than don't touch that thing. Especially people who are smokers. Don't touch it. it makes fire. Well, yeah, but teach them how to use it. You don't leave a firearm sitting around and expect the kid not to injure themselves if they try to play with it. You teach them not to play with it, but teach them how it functions. Teach them which end will bite them. Okay. We have to do this at a young age. All right. That's a big problem with today's society is a lot of the boomers and our generation also, you know why society's so jacked up? It's our fault. We let the shit slide. Stop letting it slide. I'm not letting it slide. I got a late start. I'm not letting it slide with mine because I've seen how some other people have screwed up this generation. Shelter. Teach them how to make a basic shelter, a lean-to. Teach them how to substitute shelters. Like if they're in the middle of a national forest or something like that, and tell them to look for natural shelters. Natural or man-made structures that could serve as shelter. If there's a walk bridge that crosses that creek there, but in the event of a thunderstorm or something, you could slide up underneath of it and be out of the elements for the most part. Teach them these things. Water, basic water purification. Just teach them, buy a life bottle with a life straw and teach them how it works. Okay, well, you've seen it in my kids' bug out bag video. They all have their own little bottles with little life straws and stuff like that. Take the time. That's the biggest part. It's going to take time, but take it. All right. Food. Teach them how to get. You ask any one of my kids, even the little one, how do you find food? And you've heard this before. How do you find food in an emergency in the wilderness? They will tell you, flip over a rock and find shit that wiggles around. It'll keep you alive. That's the least. Teach them how to make a natural fish hook. If you don't know how yourself, there are lots of channels, survivalist channels. What's the term? Outdoorsy, you know what I'm talking about. Where people do stuff very natural. I can't think of the term. It's on the tip of my tongue. But where people fieldcraft. Look at a fieldcraft channel. Teach them how to make fishing gear from bushcraft. Fieldcraft. See, that's the military. I mean, fieldcraft. Bushcraft. Teach them these things, okay? My daughter, the oldest one, when by the time she was 5, she knew how to recognize and create a snare trap. All right, she knew how to deactivate it too without getting caught. After Dad caught her in a spring snare, yeah, I'm the dad that did that. 5 years old. Hey, reach, hey, grab that. And I had one of her toys in the middle of a snare trap, a spring snare with a sapling. And she reached in that thing and it grabbed a hold of her one time. And she understood, oh, that's pretty, she's little arms up in the air. Yeah, it was pretty, it was a learning moment and entertaining for myself. I should have got that one on tape or on video. See, I'm old on tape. All right. But teach them these things. Remember, your job is not to help your children survive SHTF. Your job is to make sure they are able to survive even if you're not there during SHTF. Okay? Teach them evasion. There's another one. In evasion, they could be evading anything. All right? People, the kitty touchers, how to evade them, how to evade people. Animals. How many of you as a child were chased by a dog? Some of you got away. Some people didn't and are scarred for life. Teach your children how to evade things, how to climb things, how to go under things, how to think quickly on their feet. All right? Teach them these things. All right? When it comes to the two-legged predators that may chase after a child, teach your children to use their size as an advantage. All right. If they're walking home from school, you know, here's what I'd like you to do. If you have a child or grandchild that goes to school and, you know, they go by themselves, because in some places, children still walk to school by themselves. Like I did when I was a child. I'd walk 5 city blocks to school. Go the route with them that they go to school. All right. Vary a route. Find a second route if you can. If you can't, just go down the one route and look for places where a child could fit, but an adult could not. Small culvert pipes. Underneath parked vehicles that are stationary, like semi-truck lots. You know, things that they can squeeze their little bodies under if they had to run and hide. That would at least temporarily put space between them and the predator that was trying to get them. All right. Are there, you know, thick bushes that, you know, thorn bushes, stuff like that they can, you know, what was it? The hare, you know, they threw him in don't throw me in the briar patch. And they threw him in the briar patch and he was happy because he was safe. Teach them these things. Think outside the box. Teach them to go where they can, where someone else can't. If they're in a mall or in a public area, teach them to run and blend in with, you know, first teach them to make noise so they're seen. Teach them to try to get to other groups of people. I mean, if somebody's chasing your kid and your kid runs into, you know, an arcade where there's dozens of other kids, they can blend in and disappear real fast. Right? Right. Tracking. Good evening, Kentucky Survival. Yeah, you missed some good stuff, single parent survival here. Go back and watch it when it's done, and you'll catch a lot of the good stuff. Or at least stuff that I think is relevant. All right. Defense. Teach your children defense. It doesn't, I'm not talking about, you know, putting together a black powder rifle or something like that. Teach your children the basic soft spots on a human body. Teach them that if somebody grabs them, to jam their little finger as far into as they pull their eyeball out. Don't say poke them in the eye. Don't say poke. No, if somebody grabs you, poke them in it. No, rip their eyeball out like it's a grape. Reach in with your little fingers like a little claw and rip their eyeball from its socket. Teach them that. Teach them that the down goodies are very sensitive. And if they have to, they just, you ever had a baby stomp on your nuts gentlemen, with them little hard baby shoes when they're kids? Yeah, it hurts then. What makes you think that an 8-year-old or a 6-year-old or a 5-year-old meleeing you in the testicles is not going to hurt? Because it will. You know, somebody pulls out their thing at them in the bathroom. If the door's shut and they're in there all alone, don't run. You grab a hold of that son of a bitch and you rip it you try to rip it off. Sink your little kitty nails into that shit. Teach them these things. It may sound a bit strange, a bit unorthodox, but it could save them. It could save them. The last thing you want to put your pecker in is something that's got a hold of it and is hurting it. Just my opinion. All right. Teach them different ways to defend themselves. Teach them that, you know, the eyes are soft spots. The genital regions are soft spots. Teach them about the throat. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of pressure on the throat. All right. Teach them to rip. Teach them a fish hook. Teach them a good fish hook. Teach them to grab and rip. It takes 8 pounds of pressure per square inch to break human bone. Kids are stronger than you think they are. Just look at the chat real quick. All of yours are old enough to carry responsibly. That goes into defensive, but also offensive. Teach them offensive tactics because they might need those also. Because the best defense is a strong offense, and the best way to get out of danger, get off the X, if you cannot evade a predator, is to turn the predator role into the prey role. To stop being the hunted, and start being the hunter. So teach them. The battlefield can shift. And yes, our kids are going into a battlefield. Life is a battlefield. And what is coming, the evil that is on the horizon, is a battlefield. You need to prepare. Don't shelter them from this shit. Prepare them for this. If you don't, somebody else will. Real quick, I want to talk about Backwoods did a video today. If you watch this later, good video there, Backwoods. It was about 12 minutes long, and it was about these cops down in Texas in the city that just opened fire through somebody's home, through their window, hitting them 5 times because a homeowner heard a knock on the door in the middle, late at night, and grabbed the firearm, proceeded to the door, and the cops looking through the window saw someone with a gun approaching the door that they just knocked on, and just lit them up, just open up. I mean, mag dumped these people on this woman. You gotta be ready and teach your kids that just because someone has a badge or someone is wearing the disguise of something that's supposed to be safe doesn't make it so. All right. Our enemies come in all shapes, sizes, and uniforms and colors. All right. And if someone is trying to kill you, you have a right to kill them first. It doesn't matter who they are. That right was given to you by your creator. It doesn't matter if there's a misunderstanding. It doesn't matter if somebody was poorly trained. If it's you or them, do everything you can to make it them that goes into the ground. All right. Yeah, Kentucky Survival. Yeah, 4 mags in total, 40 to 60 rounds into that place. It was ridiculous. And then they yelled for the other occupant, her friend, to come out of the house. Oh, lead would have preceded me out that house. Lead would have preceded me out of that house. And remember, please, for the love of God, remember, a lot of you, I know there are a lot of people out there that back the blue, and a lot of people on here that don't like it when I say I don't. But you got to remember that the majority of law enforcement in cities, in big cities especially, are drawn from their own people. These are people that don't hold your views. These are people that hate your way of life. It's not, you can't just say, well, I back the blue. No, all blue people are not conservative. All blue people do not believe in a higher power. All the blue, there's good and bad. And you have to be able to drop the bad ones before they drop you. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Not everybody wearing a uniform is your friend. And not everybody that goes against someone wearing a uniform is your enemy. Okay? MacGyver prepping. They do mental tests and pick the yes men. Yes, they do. There's a lot of, there are psychological testing for officers. And they want people, and the tests are typically structured to get the types of individuals that will do what they're told, that won't buck the system. Acorn Cop was a twit. Oh, yes. But these are things that you need to teach your children now. And if you aren't going to teach them, if you're not going to teach the youth, someone else is. So the question is, do you want the youth of tomorrow to have your values or somebody else's values? There was on Prep Nation's what was the live stream today, the one that was for members. There was a teacher that made the comment that she wished she could undo the brainwashing that some kids get at home. And it blew my mind. It blew my mind because she, as a teacher, spends more quality time, more face-to-face time with that child or those children than any of their parents do, statistically. And that teacher could absolutely unbrainwash or counter the brainwashing that a child receives at home quite easily. Especially if, it would have to be a parent of, not to toot my own horn, of my caliber that inquires with the kids and counters lies. They'd have to actively be conditioning their kid a certain way for you not to be able to do that at school. Because a lot of parents, unfortunately, just, how was your day at school? Oh, it's fine. And that's the end of it. They don't talk about what they learn, counter the argument. John says that he does that. That's a good thing. But that teacher has more face time with those children and can easily change it. Now, there's also the caveat of, if I did, then, I could get in trouble with the school. Well, then that's a moral choice that teacher would have to deal with. Stand by and do nothing, or do what's right. They could lose their job. I don't care. You shouldn't either. If your job is more important to you than your morals, I don't even want you around my children, frankly. Yes, Eagle Claw, a lot of brainwashing comes from school. But these are the things you need to teach. We need to teach our children to call things as they see them and encourage it. Don't correct them for that. Maybe guide them in how they do it. All right? Guide them in how they do it. But don't stop them from speaking what they see, from what they understand. If they say, oh, well, that guy's wearing a dress. That's a guy. It's not a girl. You're correct. Don't, counter the pronoun narrative. All right? That's the only way you're going to save them. Ed Benoit says, oh, you're talking to Dynamite. Okay. Does anybody have any other questions or any statements? Did I miss a question? If I did, I apologize. I wasn't looking over here. I was looking here and there. How's everyone doing today? Well, I hope. Handy prepper, you're just lurking. But make no mistake about it that we're in a fight for the very souls of our children. And most parents just teach them marksmanship. Exactly. That's on the offensive thing. Yeah. Teach them how to use weapons, various ones. I mean, my little girl was 6 once she started with her Boken swords, learning martial arts, learning how to learning sword play. Teach them how to properly hold a knife. Should they need to use it as a defensive weapon? All right. Teach them these things. Teach your kids how to manipulate joints. Just basic stuff in the beginning, right? And if you want to eventually enroll them in something that teaches them more advanced skills, then teach them that. But my kids know absolutely, like my little ones, Bailey, his younger brother, they know how to make someone pray. If you don't know what making someone pray is, then you've not done a lot in grappling. But that's when somebody grabs your hand, you grab the hand, you bring it this way and tweak it down, and you basically make them pray. It looks like you're praying with them, but you're cracking their wrists. But yeah, Eagle Claw says, my dad bought me a .22 rifle when I was 6. Always took me out to train on it. I had a BB gun and a rubber target in a box to shoot in the basement. Yeah, you got to teach them young. If you don't teach them, somebody else will teach them. And guns are not bad. They are just tools. Different tools for different jobs. That's why when people are like, oh, what's your favorite? There's no such thing. There literally is no such thing, because each one has specific things that they were designed for, and it's a tool. I wouldn't use a claw hammer to bust out a masonry brick wall. I'd use a sledgehammer. All right, I wouldn't use a sledgehammer to drive finishing nails. Right. Hammer Alpha Team. God is the foundation of good morals. Teach solid morals and pass your knowledge on to the kids. They are our keepers in the future. Yes. And look at today's society. Why do you think there are so many people in nursing homes and elder care facilities, and the kids don't have anything to do with them? Because they've been trained to separate. We need to get back to the tribe, the clan mentality. It was very common 100 years ago, 80 years ago, 60 years ago. And then you can see the decline, the destruction of the atomic family, the destruction of the clan first, then destruction of the atomic family. And it's by design. If you don't see that, there's nothing I can do for you, really. You might just want to just pray. But we need to get back to that. Teach them that family means something, that your name, that last name means something, that their brothers and sisters mean something. And yes, I know there are people, I'll cut. Yes, sometimes you have to cut off family. There are certain that you have to, enough, that's it. So, but teach them these things. All right. I hope this helps someone. I hope it wasn't a waste of your time. It wasn't a waste of my time, I don't think, as long as one person, if I help one person, that's all that matters to me. One of you. And there's 61 of you in here. So there's that. Yep, you're right. All right. Well, I got to call my little ones back and have some FaceTime with the little guys. But I appreciate each and every one of you being here. As usual, you shouldn't have any commercials during this thing because I turned them off. But I'm not even going to turn them back on after this video, because this one, I don't need you. I don't want to interrupt the message. I want you guys to be able to see what you can see. All right. So thank you. God bless. Y'all all have a good night and take care of your little ones. I'm out.